Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Cross. As promised, I am providing you a video to talk a little bit about your assignments in general and just review them all, as well as talk about some feedback to help improve your overall assignments based on what I've seen in terms of writing and areas of improvement for students. So, first of all, I would like to refer everyone to your syllabus. On in your syllabus, pages 3 through 7 has about a list of competencies for this course. There are 1 through 9. Examples is demonstrate ethical behavior, engage diversity and differences, advance human rights and social and economic justice are just some example of the competencies. In short, these are competencies that are established by the Council for Social Work Education. These competencies is basically saying that when you take a particular course that you are going to meet these competencies in order to be a prepared social worker. The competencies are important because they basically certify or um, confirm the necessary competencies, skills, education, and training that social workers need to engage in social work practice with a degree. And so with each of our courses, we have to show how a particular course meets the competencies for it. You'll also notice that on your syllabus, there is a required textbook. Textbook is basically for our course what we consider the main book to which most of your learning will be coming from. We can supplement them with additional required readings, and sometimes we'll have supplemental recommended readings. But in short, the readings that we assign that accompany your textbook oftentimes are meant to support the textbook or provide additional information to help support your main textbook. With that being said, the assignments that we develop that are part of your syllabus are to meet a few goals. Goal number one is that the assignments that are given are supposed to enhance and demonstrate or give students opportunities to demonstrate the competencies that are listed page 3 to 7 on the syllabus. That means the discussion boards, the quizzes, and the papers for this course all are opportunities for social workers or social work students to demonstrate their education, training, and competency. They have opportunity to show us that they have indeed gained or developed those competencies during their time in the course. And the assignments are again are opportunities to show us that competency level. How then do you go about doing that? You pretty much need to demonstrate that you understand the course contents from the weekly readings from your required textbook. And you do that by integrating what you're learning in the course into your assignment so that you can show and demonstrate to that particular instructor that you met the competencies. To give you an example, we started the course off with in the first several weeks, 10 weeks actually, of the course, you have discussion boards. The discussion boards gives you a prompt, which give you a direction for your writing. It gives you an idea of what the content of the writing should be about, but it also includes an APA citation, which is a signal to students that they must support what they're writing with the course content, particularly the textbook, as it is our required textbook for the course. Whenever you see that a textbook is required for any course, not just this course, that is to signal to you as a student that I am supposed to be competent in what is the content that is in that textbook. And every opportunity that the instructor provides to me, I have to demonstrate I understand the readings that I am doing in that class from that textbook. So your discussion boards are one exercise. They're small, brief exercises that allow you to engage with the content and demonstrate that knowledge in a discussion board form. The good part of the discussion board is that it allows you to put your insights on the content. And again, it gives you a way to engage with it other than the reading assignment itself. So one thing is you're going to read the chapters to get as much knowledge and information from the chapter. And then the discussion board is letting you write a small, brief paragraph about that content. Um, One great thing about the discussion board is that you can also read what other students are writing about a topic as well, so that not only do you see what your insights about the topic was, but you can see what other students' insights are about that topic as well. So if you thought or had an opinion or an impression or insights about a chapter, it also is helpful to see how other students read that chapter and how they felt that content. That's why it's important that you not only write your prompt, but you also reply to two other people's, at least two other people in the class. Again, an opportunity to demonstrate what you know and your insights about a topic and see what other people are writing about the same topic. The reason why the APA format is required, again, is to signal to you that you are supposed to not just have a comment or a response to the post, but you're supposed to think critically and apply the content that you're learning to the course in it. And that APA citation lets me know exactly what content you're utilizing to inform your opinion about that topic. The exercises for the discussion boards are also helpful in that I can see where students are falling with their APA formatting related to whether they decide to do an in-text citation or a reference for it. If you see that you are not getting full points or losing points for APA citation, if you find that you are not getting the points that you need, or that you're losing points because of APA citation, that is to let you know early on that this is an area of need and an additional area for you to work on. We do these exercises for the discussion boards in advance of your papers, so that when you provide your APA citation, whether it's in-text citation or reference, you know that that is an area that you should be working on improving before you get to your actual paper assignment. And so the discussion boards are helpful in that if there are students that are having problems with the discussion board related to the APA or inability to integrate course content, then it usually should show itself earlier in the course so that we can address it before the paper comes. And so during a lot of the course work that I do, once I see students are struggling with it, I may add additional resources like an online course resource folder, which I do for a lot of my classes. But anything can be in that resource folder depending on what the needs of the class is. So I incorporated an APA resource folder in the course resource folder or tab. In that tab, there's an APA folder, which includes additional resources to help students with their APA. I'm not just putting it there because I don't have anything else to do with my day. If I see there's a need, I try to meet that need for students. And so we do have that there. And so I do expect the students, when I add a resource, to review it. I'm not putting it there, for my own good. I'm not putting it there to require more work for you. I'm putting it there because I want you to maximize the possible points that you get either in the discussion boards and or in the writing assignments, because those point deductions add up over time, and I want to make sure you get the most points for each of the assignments. Again, only there to benefit you, only there to benefit your work in this course. With that being said, we're going to move along to one other assignment that you're being graded on, and those are quizzes. Whenever you take a course and you look at the syllabus, whenever you see a quiz, that should notify you that that is a way to make sure that you are indeed doing the readings for the course. Because most of the quizzes and or even the midterm exams are based directly from the required textbook. Not just for this course, but again, your future history and academia as a student. Whenever you see quizzes and or tests for a course, it's usually to make sure students are doing the reading. So again, the discussion boards are a piece of that to make sure students are doing the readings and using the readings to inform their thoughts related to the prompt that's on the discussion board. Also, to make sure students are doing the readings for the discussion boards to prepare them for the actual test so they can do better on the test. You don't ever want to get to week 4 or 5 in a course and find out you do a quiz and students haven't been doing the reading. So the discussion boards encourages students to do the readings regularly and consistently every week, not only to answer the prompt, but also to prepare them for the quizzes and the midterm exams and the final, all the testing that goes with this course. So hopefully that is done. The third type of assignment are your papers. Similar to the discussion board, papers usually give you some kind of instruction and guide you on what you're supposed to write about. Um, it's going to be usually around a central theme, a central topic, a central area of social work practice. In that, you also usually will have a rubric. The rubric does two things. It helps guide and structure your writing. I usually recommend that students use the rubric itself to set up their headings for their paper. It makes sure that you're writing to those areas that's going to give you points. But it's not enough just to write to the areas of the, the paper. Same with the discussion board. Yes, you're responding to the prompt itself, but the prompts and the assignments overall are opportunities to demonstrate what you're learning in the class. So they go hand in hand. Always when you're in an educational environment, the goal is always to demonstrate those competencies I was talking to you about, 1 through 9 for our syllabus. It's similar to going to work in a professional setting where you get on the job training, you get orientation before you work. The whole point is for you to be trained and properly prepared to do your job. And so when you're tested or you're trained or you're giving knowledge and trainings, professional development, the goal, the expectation is usually not just to train you for training's sake or to educate you for education's sake, but to show your employer or your academic institution that you learned what you were trained and you can apply it either in a work environment or an academic environment. So knowing that when you get these assignments and you're looking at them, one of the first things you need to do when you're writing the outline for your paper is use the headings to give you your structure and organization. Also start to think about what type of content from my required readings do I want to incorporate in this overall discussion in this paper? Because the prompts, the instructions of the assignment is not enough to cover all the things that you've learned. Plus, we want to give students flexibility on what content that they learn that they want to incorporate. So you don't want to dictate what you want them to write about in terms of the things that they've learned, but instead you want to give them a schematic or a blueprint of what to write about, and then allow them to decide what type, how that message prompt, whether it be a discussion board or how they're going to use that rubric and the expectations from the rubric and the assignment instruction to really showcase what they actually know and what they've been learning in the course. Sometimes students write papers, and if they're doing a reflective piece, they're talking about things that are happening in the agency. And it either sometimes can look as if they're writing a journal for themselves to keep and reflect on their work, which is not bad, but it's not necessarily conveying the competencies 1 through 9 that we need to see in this course. Sometimes I see students tackle papers in a way where it's almost as if they're regurgitating their case note from the agency, and they're using the case note as their paper or the narrative of the case note into the paper. That's not bad. But the problem is, when you do that, you're not necessarily demonstrating the competency that is needed for this particular course. So the best and only way to really demonstrate the competency of the course is to integrate the textbook and the readings into your work. So what do we mean when we talk about integrating it, right? So you're practicing hopefully in your discussion boards on different ways to do that. You're also seeing how your fellow colleagues, your other students are integrating the readings and what it looks like. What students do a lot, and we try to grow you from this method in a graduate program, is they will do a direct quote from the textbook, which is permissible, but it's not the best way to demonstrate competency. So if I quote or regurgitate what somebody else says or parrot what they say in a quote, it's showing me that I know what was in a textbook. But that's not always the best, strongest way to demonstrate I understand and I can comprehend it. Paraphrasing is probably your strongest way to demonstrate that. Think about your peer-reviewed journals. Think about the journal articles that you're required to read for your classes. If you read a lot of research or literature, they are not heavy in direct quotes. It's a higher level of expertise. Also, when you think about for some of your classes, you're given page limits in which to write. It may not always be the most paper friendly to write quotes. It takes up a lot of space on your paper. So the more efficient way to do it is most likely to paraphrase, which again shows a higher level of understanding than just putting a quote directly from a book into your paper. And so when we're talking about integrating your course content and your readings into your paper, it's not always about identifying one or two concepts here or there. It's really understanding what the assignment is asking for and finding multiple opportunities to engage with what you're learning in the course using that assignment. So knowing how much of the course content you can actually apply to a paper, a discussion topic, or an area, when to apply it, right? Is it the appropriate use of that content given what you're talking about, whatever the subject matter may be? And then three, showing that not only do I understand the concept, but I know how to apply it, which again is a higher level of demonstrating your understanding of it. Sometimes this requires you to critically think about your paper before you write it, about this is what I'm going to talk about, and here are all the different things that I've learned in the course that I can incorporate into this paper. That's probably something that you cannot do at the last minute, the day before, 2 days before. You really should be writing your outlines for your papers well in advance to help get your mind thinking, to start priming it to write about the subject matter. One should be an outline based on the instructions of the assignment. Then you want to make sure you look over and incorporate headings that are based from the rubric. This is just one way, and this is actually the method I see a lot of successful students, particularly in how they write their assignments, do. And then once they know they have the outline with the headings informed by the rubric on their paper, then they start really critically thinking about this different things that they've learned through the weeks of the course and where they would fit within that. As you are in a class to learn, while you are again really demonstrating competency here, all the competencies discussed in the rubric, you cannot integrate enough the course content. Now you can definitely integrate too little. But there's no such thing as integrating too much course content. The more you integrate, the more you're demonstrating you know. And this is themes as well. What are the themes of the paper, and how do those themes speak to things that you've been learning in the course? And so your writing assignments, similar to your quizzes, similar to your discussion boards, are another opportunity for you to demonstrate. You have these different ways because some students learn better and can showcase what they know better in different forms. Some students are better readers, some students are better writers, some students are better quiz takers. So between all three different modes, we're hoping to really give students an opportunity to showcase with whatever is their strength, be it writing, reading, or test taking, that they know the content. whole point of being in the class is to demonstrate, to learn the content and demonstrate that you know it. Another thing I wanted to bring up here is that there's also students, many of our students go on for licensure, particularly depending on what state that you work. Some states are mandatory, your license is mandatory. In order to work or practice social work, you need a license. DC is one of those areas. Maryland is another state that requires you to have a license. We need to make sure our students are doing the reading and that they're competent in the content in order to position them best for licensure. A lot of students ask me how best to pass the licensure, what advice would I give them related to licensure, and to be quite honest with you, it's do the readings. You're studying and preparing for your licensure in every single course that you take if you do the readings, if you do all the readings. If not only do you do the readings, but you're competent in the readings and the areas of competencies that you need for each of your courses. And the only way we can make sure that you're ready for licensure, the only way we can make sure that you're ready to be a prepared, how a prepared social worker, is to make sure that you are, one, doing what you need to do in the courses, which is the assignments and the readings. Number two is that you're demonstrating that you know it. And the assignments that we give you are ways to demonstrate that you have the competency that you need not only to be successful in the course, but also to be successful in the program and to be a prepared social worker ready for licensure when you get done. So I'm hoping that this video helps really give you an understanding of what is necessary. Now, this course is your earlier course in your whole MSW sequence. However, the course is meant to acclimate you to graduate level work. And so even though most students do know that they have to incorporate what they're learning and from their textbook in all their writing, I do feel like it was needed to have this video so that it's not assumed, particularly on my part, that students know to incorporate what they're learning into their assignments. I hope that you think really critically and reflect on this video. I hope that the takeaway points from this video will serve you not just in my course, but in future subsequent courses. Instructors are taking their time to prepare your assignments. You're doing these assignments, and they are not busy work. There is a goal here, and the bigger goal is to demonstrate competency so that when you graduate from the program and you have your degree, that degree basically means that you've met the competencies to become a practicing social worker, and you've demonstrated it with evidence through your assignments that you got it, you understood the material, and you were able to apply it to your field placement or wherever you may be doing your additional training at. And so as we talk a little bit about acclimating you to graduate level work, two other areas come to mind. One is APA formatting, and the other one is graduate level work and the expectations and the rigor of that. As you move along through the courses here at Howard University, you will have several more courses. As you move along the sequences, it'll be expected for you to integrate more and more material into your assignments. You'll start seeing syllabus, if you haven't already, that talks about how many peer-reviewed journals that you need to use for a particular assignment, including the required textbook. Always use your required textbook as well. Some of them 5 to 7, 8, 9, 10. And so again, this course is getting you prepared to start down that path of evidence-based informing your opinion. Even though we sometimes use the class time, we use discussion boards to engage with the material. Even though as instructors and future colleagues, we do value your opinion on the subject matter. What we're really trying to do here is hear less of what your personal individual opinion is. Rather, we're trying to prepare and grow an academic. Meaning we want opinions that's grounded in literature, that's grounded in evidence, research informed, practice informed, literature informed. And that is why you need to incorporate and integrate the readings and the course content into your discussions, whether that's your discussion boards or your discussion in your papers. That is what we're looking for. So again, I would like for you all to move away from journaling type of papers where this is just my opinion on my work with the case. Yeah, interesting, but I can't measure your competency that way of the course content. I want to hear what your opinion is informed by the content and then demonstrate to me where this content or this evidence is coming from in which you're basing your discussion on. That is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to develop you and grow you in this area. This is also going to be necessary for professional work. When you do conference presentations, whether you give presentations at your work, whether you do trainings, professional development, people are going to want to hear what you have to say, but they want to make sure what you have to say is grounded in some kind of scientific, rigorous evidence and literature. And that is why when you're writing your papers in a graduate level program, everything you do has to be demonstrating competency and conveying your understanding of course material, and I cannot say that enough. APA formatting is clear. It is key to that. There are some schools of thought, and I guess I agree with that students should not be able to graduate from an MSW program if they do not master APA. Some may wonder, how did you graduate without having to master it? So if you're one of those students who are having problems and struggling with APA format, this is something that you want to make a separate study area for. Again, I provided some resources for you to do it. It's imperative that you do it. And I can honestly say I do not know how any student can be successful and how far they will be able to go into the program, through the program successfully, without being able to do APA. And the reason that's so important is, one, that's the standard that we use in most schools of social work. And two, it's the way that you're getting credit for demonstrating your competency grounded in the evidence. So if you cannot provide your evidence in a format that's acceptable from the school, it's less likely that you'll be able to be successful. So again, if we're growing you to move away from case note type papers, narratives in your paper, if we're trying to move you away from journaling type of writing, we're really trying to gear you, develop you, and grow you as being academic writers, which is different than journaling. It's different from a process recording. It's different than any other type of writing. Academic writing is more formal in a format in terms of APA for us in the School of Social Work, but it's also academic writing is grounded in literature. You're not doing academic writing for any of your course if you're not integrating evidence base in your writing. And again, for your courses, that is your textbook. So I don't want to belabor the APA point, but it's still an issue, and we still have several papers to go for the course, and the APA still needs a lot of work. And I can tell the students who have looked at the resources and have incorporated them in their paper versus those who have not. When the APA is nowhere near accurate, that's usually a sign to me that the student did not go in and look at the resources, because if they would have looked at the resources, they would at least have the general format down correct. In order to be successful in this program, you have to do the work to be able to present yourself in writing. And we also have regular presentations where you stand up and give a presentation, but you need to show that you're able to convey evidence-based information in writing format and in a standard verbal presentation. The other thing I want to talk about in terms of expectations of a MSW program, it is turning your assignments in on time. Just want to reiterate, as the syllabus noted, late assignments are not accepted in this course. Please, I really, 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 really encourage you, strongly encourage, do not turn your assignments in late. All the points are necessary for this course, and not many students can comfortably receive a 0 in an assignment, it will greatly put you at risk of not being successful in the course if you get a 0 in a paper. That means you need to go on the syllabus. We give the syllabus to you from the first day of class. And some of the reason we do that at the very first day, we review the assignments and the deadlines the very first day. One of the reasons why we do that is because we are strict on the no lateness. And that really gives students less reasons for submitting an assignment late. I'll say that again. Because most students know the expectation and the due dates of the assignments from day one, meaning they have from day one to prepare to complete and have all their assignments done prior to the deadline. We are not as forgiving for latenesses, particularly in this course. That is why late assignments are not accepted. However, does that mean an emergency does not happen? Absolutely not. It is okay to submit a assignment late if there are extenuating circumstances. I've had students who've been sick with the flu. I've had students who've been in car accidents. I've had a lot of deaths in families. A lot of reasons why extenuating circumstances have come up and students have not been able to complete their assignment. But even in those situations, there is some type of documentation provided to justify the lateness in the paper. So if any of these extenuating circumstances apply to you, you are encouraged to let your professor know as soon as possible, but not just tell them I have extenuating circumstances, but to let them know with proof. And then usually at that point, you will be given an extension to do the assignment. But if it would need to come with some kind of evidence and proof. If you do not have that, please do not submit your assignments in late. Moving forward in this course, I will not accept any assignment. I will not grade it. It will just be a 0. Again, it is listed, that policy is listed in the syllabus, and it needs to be carried out for all students. And that's expectation of a graduate program. Undergraduate, but more so in a graduate program, that you can get your assignments complete and done on time, as we are also preparing you to be professionals as well. That is the key area in terms of things that I saw. I also, during the weeks as I grade discussion boards, as I grade assignments, I will list some of the things that I see to help all students benefit and improve their paper. From an APA standpoint, headings is necessary in APA. And I think it's necessary for students to keep them on track and structured with their writing. Students tend to be redundant, say things on page 1 that'll pop up again in page 3 and in page 7. With headings, they're less likely to do that. Sometimes in APA, students are using references that are entirely too old. 10 years is gold standard. You want the most recent relevant. A papers, ideal research, you want to get the most recent. So within 5 years is wonderful. Up to 10 years old is permissible, but definitely not older than 10 years old. That's not relevant literature. Again, if you're basing your evidence and your position on recent evidence, that would have to be the recent literature. If you're citing things that are over 10 years old, it's not relevant, really. We want to make sure that you know what the current thought, what the current evidence on it is on a subject matter, and that cannot be done if you're using references that are over 10 years. Students sometimes put citations in the body of the paper, and they're not listed in the reference section. If it's in the body of the paper, it needs to be in the reference section. Also, students are listing material or sources in the reference that are not appearing in the body. So we're going to be very clear on this. If you're citing a resource in your work, it needs to go in the body of the paper, and then the full reference need to be listed in the reference section. If there's a full reference in the reference section, there should be a citation for it in the body of the paper. I do look. I cross-reference it, and that's how I'm able to let you know in your feedback that that it's not there or it's missing in one of the two places. Okay. Make sure when you use APA citation that you're doing the full, you're capturing all the required information that needs to go into the citation and or the reference. I'm trying to think about other common things that I see students do. APA requires Times Roman is your font. I saw papers that did not have 12-point Times Roman. That is the font that is required by APA as well. Saw some students had abstracts. Make sure you review other abstracts before you include an abstract in your paper. Abstracts have a particular function and a purpose, and the content that I'm seeing in some of the abstracts aren't appropriate content that's supposed to be for an abstract. Also, in APA format, there's usually an introduction and a conclusion to your paper. FYI, most APA formatted papers have page numbers top right corner of the paper. Make sure your headings are listed in appropriate APA format. APA also designates how your heading should look in your paper. I think that about covers it. As always, if you have any additional questions for me about your any papers or feedback, you can email me or set up time to come meet with me. I do have office hours, but I tend to be in my office at different times daily, and you're not limited to the office hours to come visit with me. If anytime you're in the building, you can come up and speak to me, and I'll be more than happy to talk to you. In terms of your feedback for your paper, I usually grade directly off the rubric itself that's in Blackboard. And so I will put the comments for each section of your paper in the comment section of your rubric, so that you know exactly what areas that the comment or the feedback is given to you and in what areas of your paper. I'm hoping, I'm usually told that my comments and feedbacks is clear. Most students understand from my feedback what they have done wrong with their papers, and they're able to incorporate them in that paper or future papers. But in the rare chance that I do provide feedback and it's not clear to you, please let me know. For this course, I like to also include a feedback video such as this, so that if students have questions, or the written feedback isn't enough, I can actually talk to them via the video, and explain my thoughts and how they're supposed to execute their assignments moving forward, as a way to again to demystify some of the comments and provide you some narrative about the comments. I think that's it. If there's any more helpful feedback videos that I can do for this course, I will continue to upload them as I see the needs, as I see the student needs develop or identify themselves in the course. Thank you.